Jump in. So for everybody who doesn't know me, my name is Stefan. I'm the product manager of FinDock, and with me is Lawrence, um, who is the technical business analyst on our team. And together we are proud to present to you the March 21 release. As you know, we release every month or 10 times a year. And in this webinar, we go over all of the release highlights that we wanted to show. If you have any questions or feedback, please feel free to let us know in the chat or use the Zoom Q&A function or feel free to reach out to us personally. Before we dive into the details, the release has been published already on your sandboxes as usual, which means that your sandbox environments already have the features that we are talking about this now. And on Sunday evening, the 21st of March, they will go to production and will be automatically pushed to all of your production environments. So essentially Monday morning, you will have it ready for you in production. And as part of this release, we'd like to highlight a couple of items, but the first and foremost, we want to highlight the FinDock GoCardless connection that we have built for already quite a while, and that is now going GA with this release and being, fully committed, generally available, and we already have multiple live customers on it. And we are really proud to show you what all that work has been, what it's been giving to you and the options it gives to you. Secondly, we'd like to highlight the updates we made to our Stripe integrations. We know that many of you use us together with Stripe, and we have improved the way of authenticating and integrating with Stripe, and we have added support for direct debit payment methods with Stripe. Then we'd like to highlight to you in the third chapter a couple of the bugs and enhancements that we made, and we made multiple, many of them, right? Small iterations on our product. But we give you an overview and we want to highlight a couple. And then fourth, last but definitely not least, we want to give you some view of, what's the next big thing that we are working on and that we are focusing on with our development efforts to give you A, insight into that process, but B, also to get your feedback as early as possible. I think the key highlight as well for this release is that we started almost a year ago with 3 key features going into pilots, closed pilots, with a new API and an online experience, not using the Visual Foresight user. And then FinDock giving pages that basically give you the ability to have an out-of-the-box donation page in minutes, and our GoCardless for FinDock integration. And I'm really, really happy to announce that now all of these 3 are out of pilot, out of beta, and are GA and part of our product subscription. So I hope this is the last time you will see this slide ever for these pilots. We've been updating you in the last 6, 7 releases on where we are in the process, what's the status per different pilot, and how valuable is the product for you. And I'm really, really proud to announce that all of them now in this March release are GA, a fully featured working products. That being said, let's start with GoCardless for FinDock, and Lawrence will take it away.
Thank you, Stefan. So let's talk about GoCardless for FinDock and what we've made generally available. As an overview, you can connect your GoCardless account in just a few clicks, no swapping around keys and API tokens and whatever. Your customers can onboard through the online flow, so through a GoCardless hosted payment page. Then GoCardless handles collection of payments and then takes all the BACS requirements into account, including all the notification emails that are required to set up and collect BACS direct debits. But you can also enter the donations and BACS mandates manually from Salesforce through a Lightning component, and refunds can then be handled through GoCardless. I think it's best if I just show you what that looks like. I'll show both the online flow and the manual entry component. especially from an onboarding perspective. To do that, I'll be using one of our giving pages. It's a fairly standard one out of the box, but it helps show you what GoCardless can do. So let's take an online donation. I'll be doing a one-time one here. We need some details, of course, personal details. And then when we select BACS Direct Debit, in the background, I've configured this to be through GoCardless. We can click donate and we are redirected to a test version of the GoCardless hosted payment page. So here your customer will enter their details. GoCardless will verify all these details as required, right? So they'll verify the sort code, they'll verify the account number, and they'll also verify the address. And then when you click set up direct debit, it's confirmed and you're redirected back to the website again. Now, this basically means that the direct debit has been set up. It also means that in Salesforce, we now have related payment data. So through our API, we create inbound reports, and the inbound report creates an installment. As you can see here, we now have an installment which will collect money through the payment method BACS Direct Debit. For the processor, FinDock GoCardless. And to do that, it needs two things. One is a payment profile, which contains the bank details of the customer. And here you don't see much, but it's connected to bank details in GoCardless, and they have the full details to be able to collect. And it also needs a mandate, which also contains similar data and is also connected to a mandate at the GoCardless site through this mandate ID. Now, as you can see, this mandate is not active yet and is still pending registration, but that will all be handled by GoCardless. And GoCardless will offer it to the BACS network. And once it being confirmed that this mandate can be activated, they will update FinDock. We will update the mandate in Salesforce, and the collection can start. Now, this is a one-time donation, so we've already offered it to GoCardless, so it will automatically get collected in 3 days, because that's the lead time for BACS Direct Debit and not before. But if this was a recurring donation, you could run a payment schedule, and then we would do the same. Now, this is the first online way to create it, but let's say a customer doesn't go to your website, but they call you instead. So what you could do, or write down their details on a piece of paper. Now, what you could do is go to the contact details or create a new contact, right? And on that contact, you can basically do the same thing. So here on the right-hand side, we have our quick direct debit component, where you can enter the specific details. You can create recurring, so one-time donations here. Of course, we need a sort code here. We'll use the same account number, an amount, a frequency, a start date, and you can put a description here to this charity, for instance, and then you can submit. And in the background, we will go to GoCardless, verify the sort code and account number again. Oh, this customer doesn't have an email, and that's not allowed, of course, because we need to send the notification somewhere. Let's find the email over here and save it. And then try again. So you can see we give real-time feedback, and this feedback comes from GoCardless. And if we now try to create this recurring payment, we should get positive feedback. Yeah. So basically it says here it's succeeded. We've created a recurring payment in the background, and we could edit that further. But you can already see that the payment method is BACS Direct Debit. We have a payment profile. We have a mandate. Basically all the same things you'd get if you do this through online. And you can edit the full recurring donation fields here. So if you'd like to say, I want to change the collection date, change the day of the month to collect, then that's all possible from Salesforce. These recurring donations are collected to the payment schedule, just like other payment methods, recurring payment methods are. And I think that's it when it comes to GoCardless. Now let's go back to our presentation. To the second thing. The second thing we'd like to show you is Stripe Connect and, well, not a direct debit method. But we haven't done just Stripe Connect or added the SEPA direct debit payment method, but we've also added multi-merchant support for Stripe, which means you can create, well, you can connect from Salesforce to different Stripe accounts, just from the same Salesforce and FinDock environment. We've also done smaller things like pre-fill the email address on the checkout page if we already know the email address, so that saves a step. And we've done a fix for multi-currency orgs. And in the next release, we will also be adding support for BACS direct debit here as well. So what do we mean by Stripe Connect? Similar to what we've done with GoCardless is that you can now simply, with just a few clicks from the FinDock setup, collect with GoCardless. It's basically a two-step process where you basically click a button and then you enter your account details and then you're done. And with done, we mean that then FinDock is allowed to collect payments or to start payments with Stripe for you, but we've also subscribed to notifications. So no additional setup is longer required. And the second thing is Stripe direct debits. So you can set up one-time and recurring SEPA direct debits now and BACS direct debits later. But let's have a look. We'll go back to our giving page again. But first, let's go to our setup, our Stripe setup to be precise. So I can show you the new method of connection. So first, let's disconnect my old account, which is disconnected now. So basically, when you have an existing account, a new account, then you will see you can only connect with Stripe Connect. And connecting is just a matter of clicking this button. You'll be directed to a Stripe hosted payment page. And you can edit, this will show FinDock there. And basically what you can say is next, and then it will ask you for all kinds of details. For this the sense of testing, I will just click this button because I don't want to enter any company information. And basically when you click this form, you'll be redirected and now we are connected to Stripe. So let's make a Stripe direct debit donation. Let's choose 80 euros. Again, enter our details. This time we choose SEPA direct debit and donate. Oh, and I think I set up something wrong there, but I'm not exactly sure what. So I'll just go to show you what we should be seeing. What we should be seeing is this direct debit form, similar to GoCardless, right? You enter an IBAN, a name on an account. We also need a billing address for this to be valid. You set up the direct debit and an installment is created. And we get the data. Now let's quickly check what I did wrong in my setup. If I can fix it, but I don't think I can. No, okay. If you'd like an actual demo of this, just let us know and we'll show you the next time. And that's it for our demos for today. And then let's get back to Stefan.
So thanks, Lawrence. Exciting stuff, right? And I mean, it's not a real actual live demo when sometimes they trip up on you. So I think you've been forgiven, Lawrence. We are really excited about this though, right? Both with GoCardless and with Stripe, with the ease of authentication, we think it's becoming easier and easier to get your basic set of requirements up and running. So the last release, you got a giving page, that in clicks and in minutes gives you an out-of-the-box giving page. And then now with these GoCardless and with the way that we authenticate with Stripe, it's clicks to also hook up your payment processor underneath those giving pages and get the data into your Salesforce environments. Now, to give you an overview of all the smaller things that we've been working on, and I want to say, if you, Norwich, we could maybe go to the next slide, that would be brilliant. I want to say this is all based on your feedback. So for example, take this feature where we've now, last release, we added giving pages. And as you know, on the giving page, you can say this page, all the donations that are coming in via this specific giving page, they are for a specific campaign. So that means you could set up a page, for example, here, Save the Whale, and you could say all those donations, they belong to the campaign, Save the Whale. Now, we have extended that based on feedback from multiple people as well on this call, saying, hey, could you make that more dynamic? And now you can. It's only for campaign ID. It's not for any other attribute. But if in the giving page URL, you add in the query parameters a specific campaign ID, with just the Salesforce campaign ID record, that will override the standard campaign attached to that giving page. And this gives you the ability to dynamically set the campaign based on the URL. So you could create, for example, multiple versions of this URL with multiple campaigns and use those in different parts of an email and say if they use this one or that one, you can track that to different campaigns. Yeah. All right. To give you an overview of all the other things that we've been working on, I want please shout out to our release notes where there in detail there's been provided a list of all these smaller changes that we make that you might want to look into. But to give you an overview, a small quality of life improvement way to guided matching is that on the right-hand side, you had all these rules. When you're configuring your guided matching rules, they are now clickable. So when you click on them, the edit screen of a certain rule opens, so you don't have to find it, especially when we saw some customers with, up to 100 rules, and then it can become hard to find it, and now it becomes easier, we hope. We have gotten in feedback on our CODA processing, and we have improved our guided matching rule sets. And I can't reiterate how important this is for us. It's not only CODA, it's the small feedback that we get. So please keep on sharing that, right? When you see something at a customer you're implementing, or when you are running in production and you see something odd, don't hesitate to let us know. Another small one, an iteration I'd like to highlight is that for our Dutch customers, there's a new issuer being available to handle ideal payments. It's the Revolut Bank. And we have added Revolut as part of the ideal issuer list and added that to the different packages that support ideal. So you now also can take ideal payments to Revolut instantly from Salesforce. To give you a full overview of the other items we'd like to highlight is that we have spent a lot of time on iterating, or we have spent some iteration time on Agen, increasing the way it works with Ideal, improving it. So where we now directly generate Ideal links for you and bypass the Agen pay by link pages. We offer support for extra webhook events, and we parse timestamps mentioned by Agen in the right time zone. So we always assumed it was CET, but it isn't always. So we now do the conversions of timestamps correctly. Again, I think as we also highlight in the next slide to you, please visit our release notes for specific user stories. And if it's then still unclear, then please let us know. We're happy to improve the copy of the release notes. Now with the pilots being closed, right, it also opens up for us the ability to start on something new, which I must admit, is also refreshing for us. And we'd like to make you, what we learned from those pilots, not only from, from the functionality, but also from running pilots, is that we like to take this opportunity already share with you a bit of what we're working on to get in your feedback and your enthusiasm or lack of enthusiasm earlier. So we build products that actually matter to you. What we are going to work on for the coming month, and obviously safe harbor applies, right? I mean, it's not set in stone, and it's discovery, and this is what we're currently aiming for. But we want to improve recurring payments in general with FinDock. So we know that recurring payments are important to almost all of our customers, whether it's recurring SEPA direct debits, Swish direct debits, BACS direct debits, credit cards, PayPal. We do a lot of we support a lot of payments, and a lot of payment processing from our customers is around recurring volume and getting in those payments every month, every week, etc. And as a subject, we haven't spent a lot of time on that in the last year. So what we started doing a couple of months ago, is we started collecting all the feedback that you have shared with us around recurring payments and payment schedules, mandate schedules, etc. in the last, I would say, 1.5 years. And we've tried to make sense of that and to see, what can we do to actually bring this a full step further. Now, at the moment, I think for us, that has been, this theme of recurring payments now has been firmed up what we want to do. And I think currently we are thinking in around 4 different topics with recurring payments that we are actively working or brainstorming or thinking about. And let's go shortly over all the 4 different items. So the first one is, there's a theme of what you see is what you get. So we know that recurring payment processing, especially for larger customers, can take a couple of hours even. And you want full insight and transparency in what is happening there. And we have the processing hub manager and the payment schedule path, and we have all these kinds of tools, but still we can be cleaner and crisper here and actually show you where we are in the process and give you the real-time updated status. So improvements here that are very, I think, very easy to make is take the payment schedule path and also bring that to mandate schedule, or take the payment schedule path, which now always is a 3-step process, but for most credit cards, it's always a 2-step process. So then show 2 steps instead of 3. It's these iterations like this. Then the second theme is, we are experimenting, and we don't know for sure how far we can take this, to be able to automate the collection of recurring payments. And what we mean by that is, currently, when you want to collect every month your recurring payments, you need to set up and run or automate a payment schedule every month. But why don't we do that automatically for you? When you do recurring credit card payments via Stripe, why don't we collect the 17th for you when the collection date is the 17th? So we are seeing, can we improve the automation around payment schedules? And especially for for the more mid-market and smaller sized companies, this could be a great way of being taken care of by FinDock as a system, instead of having to manually run all those payment schedules. Now, third, it's more of a question, but we get it a lot. And the question is, how should I handle data changes when my payment schedules are running? So I'm creating my monthly direct debit file, but the donor is on the phone or a customer is on the phone asking or changing something. How should I handle that? And I think we haven't been really clear about that. There's multiple ways, and we want to be more transparent and be more upfront of how you can handle that. And fourth, definitely not least, is we know it's complex to run certain recurring payment processes, and we cannot take that away. I mean, creating a payment file, with all its nuances, it's a complex job. but we can help you and give you more tools to assess the data quality before you start the process. So we are talking about an initiative, what we internally now call describe and validate, where we can say to you, describe to you, what are the data quality rules that data needs to, what type of data do we need for a certain process? So when, for example, you create a pane 008 file for SEPA, what type of data do we actually need? And when do you look to this data and when don't you look to this data? So that's the describe part. And then the second part is, before you start that process, which may take a while, can you validate if this set of data that we want to use for this month is correct in real time? So we are now coming up with, well, we are experimenting and building a describe and validate service that models the data requirements, for example, for a SEPA direct debit pane 008 file, and then outputs on the left-hand side, as you can see, maybe a table or some documentation helping you, showing you those rules, but also helping you prepare data migrations. And on the right-hand side, a component or even a step in the payment schedule, maybe even later, that validates that data and says, hey, I'm not going to work because for this specific installment, I need the bank statement description, or the mandate reference is too long, or the amount is required and it's empty. Feedback like that. Now we are looking for pilot customers and partners here, and we are looking for a mixed bag, as in we are looking for the experienced partners and customers who already operate and run the FinDock for years sometimes. But we're also looking to work with like the uninitiated and the inexperienced to see if tooling like this will make their life easier, you know, getting these payment schedules up and running and migrating from legacy systems towards FinDock. So if you're interested and if you think, hey, this resonates with me, and or I have experience with this and I know how hard it can be to do a very complex direct debit run, then please reach out to us and let us know. We will put you on a list, and we will, when the pilot starts, we want to work with you to validate if what we're building makes sense, if you use it, how you use it, and together make it easier for everybody to handle recurring payments. Now, before we go to the traditional thank you slide, right, please know that this webinar will be uploaded on our YouTube channel. If you want to, please subscribe to the channel. You get real-time notifications when the upload is done and when there's content for you that is relevant. So please know where to find us. And that being said, we wish you a good weekend, and we will stick around for questions and feedback that you want to share with us. But thank you for joining, and we hope you enjoy your weekend. Thanks.